Hi, welcome to this channel on magnetic energy, principles, applications, technology. This video is about magnetic energy and space travel. This particular type of space travel is not based on propulsion. It's based on attraction, kind of like everything else in the magnetic energy world, right? So this is simply one method for space travel, and I'm sure there's an infinite variety of methods out there. This method requires a special alloy on the ship. The hull of the ship must have a metal that can receive etheric energy and basically be given a polarity. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So it's given a polarity, but it never becomes magnetized, in the sense that it never takes on like a full north or south polarity and turns essentially into a magnet. It cannot do that. The reason it cannot do that is because we need that metal to keep a neutral polarity, if you will, so that we can change the polarity of the outside of the ship to match stars around. Let's just leave it to the galaxy at this point. So every star has a unique energetic signature. You could call it like a magnetic resonance group of signatures. So it could depend on the elements that are predominant in that star. It could also depend on the pulse rate happening in that star, the intensity of that, and the expression of that star's energy signature manifests not only throughout each solar system, but primarily what we're looking for is the heliosphere or the heliosheath of that solar system. So that outer energy field, that is essentially what we are going to attract to in a magnetic energy driven spaceship. So throughout space, there are neutral magnetic energy rivers that connect all the different stars. And when you have a magnetic energy spaceship and you are able to modify or change the polarity of the hull of that ship, you will automatically attract to the destination of the star where you are going. So, and you'll do that outside of space and time. You'll do it as fast as like a magnetic energy signal moves. So just imagine the entire hull of the ship essentially pulsing or vibrating with a magnetic resonance group of energy signatures that identically matches a given star's heliosphere. As soon as that process takes place, that ship immediately is outside of space, it's outside of time, and it goes to that star's heliosphere immediately. Now, there's some things that the ship has to have, and so part of the issue with the outer hull or the alloy is it should obviously be quite strong and quite light if possible. It will vibrate, it will have a magnetic pulse around it that provides a force field. And then the internal part of the ship has its own gravity circuit that is very similar to like what the Earth's gravity circuit is. So we have an upper and a lower energy differential inside of the ship, with energy flowing from plates that are above, let's say, a cabin to below that cabin. So all the occupants and everything inside of that gravity circuit within the ship experience gravity, and we would basically, in our situation, we would be matching the gravity rate, the pulse rate on our planet, so that it would feel normal. Although you could vary that, really, if it's not necessary, you could make it half the gravity or more, depending on what's happening. So then the ship, what it does is, this particular design, like on the site, as you turn the ship or as you orient the ship, and there's ballasts and different things to help control it when you're not in space, but when you are in space, you have a plate that is attracting to its destination, and it'll move on magnetic attract to its destination far, far beyond the speed of light. when you have a pulsing magnetic field that is of the proper rate and the magnetic resonance, what it does is it refracts and deflects light around it. So that's just that statement alone. Think about in throughout the universe, there are various expressions, if you will, of magnetic fields and pulsing magnetic fields. Now, in the magnetic world, of course, we black holes are not part of the magnetic model in the sense that they are in the conventional astronomy model. Yes, you can have energy vortices throughout the universe. There's no question about that. But is a black hole the result of a collapsed star or a star that's gone through its life cycle or burned out its nuclear furnace? Absolutely not. No, it's a gateway to higher dimensional energy that is very, very necessary for the functioning of the universe. And stars, because they are etheric channels of etheric energy and transmuters of etheric energy, they are essentially designed to last forever, especially because as they continue to be supplied with what would be called the catalyst or the fuel that they use to transmute the etheric energy, those stars can last forever under that model. So there's no reason for them to burn out. Now there could be different stages of stars, and that's obvious because of what their development is. But the whole model in astronomy that creates a black hole, that just doesn't really fit in the magnetic energy model at all. And kind of thank goodness it doesn't. One thing that's interesting about space travel is, and we all know this, when you think about what you're seeing from a star and then trying to go to that star, by the time you normally would get there, the star would be so far displaced you would have absolutely you'd have to restart the whole process, because by conventional thinking, even at the speed of light, by the time you get there it's so far gone from where your initial destination was. The nice thing about using a magnetic energy ship like this is not only does it travel outside of space and time as we know it, but it gets to that destination instantly. And you might say, well, wait, but the light that you're tracking is already gone. Like, so the idea is that, we're seeing light that is very old. But here's the thing, we're not really concerned about the light that we're tracking. What we're tracking is the magnetic resonance group of that star's heliosphere. And as long as we are attracting to that destination and we're outside of space and time, we will get to that destination instantaneously. So we don't really care if the light from the star is new or old, or that doesn't really matter. All we care about is that we have locked on to the exact polarity group of that star, the polarity resonance group, the magnetic vibratory rates and signatures of that star. And then that allows us to travel outside of space and time. Now, of course, I'm saying all these words I'm using conventional words, but in the magnetic energy model, we don't even believe in space or time. So it's really the correct definition of this video would really be etheric travel, because we're definitely embracing the ether model, and we think that should be fully embraced and come back into mainstream science teaching and everything. And it will probably, when this stuff is proven publicly. It's been around for decades. All these ideas have been around for decades, and there's plenty of people that know everything I'm talking about. So when you are tracking a magnetic signature, the circuitry and the magnets and the hardware that's inside of the ship, we have the ability to match any signature, any magnetic group of signatures, and have that express in the outer hull. At the same time, the outer hull is receiving etheric energy that we are then using to drive the units inside of the ship. And that's really important. So there's no fuel source on the ship other than, like, say there might be a bank of crystals that are maybe a backup fuel, or they're receiving etheric energy, but the ship is really, it is running off of etheric energy. So it's the ability to have that metal that can take on neutral etheric energy, and then we convert it to the polarities that we need to run the ship. Now, this is just the industrial version of the ship. A more advanced version of the ship won't even need motors to turn plates or anything like that. It will just simply harness etheric energy and convert it to the polarities on the ship that drive the ship. Now, in an atmospheric situation, in order to fly the ship, part of what you need is in this rudimentary model of a spaceship, you need rotating and counter rotating plates, top and bottom plates, so that we can create a difference in polarities between those plates, and then that allows the ship to essentially propel itself forward in any direction inside of an atmospheric situation, or inside of a solar system where you want to just be able to go anywhere without necessarily tapping into a neutral river in space. And so, but once that principle is mastered, and you can have any, it'll give us the ability to have any shape of a ship, as long as we can create a polarity differential on that ship in one way or another, like, so that you could have, essentially, it gives you the ability to move in any direction with your ship, and really to move very fast. As far as like traveling around the solar system goes, it's still a very high velocity, but it's nothing compared to jumping outside of our dimension and going off to another star, for example. And that's instantaneous. So hopefully we can get our act together as a civilization and visit some of our interstellar families at some point. And with that, I will see you next time.